Last week was the beginning of April and the media dubbed it Awful April. It seems to be giving off international vibes right now, as the stock markets panic with the Trump tariffs and the trade wars. Trump saying sometimes you have to take medicine to fix something. It seems that here in the UK, we don't need medicine, we need resurrection. We need bringing back to life, as the country seems to be assassinated by its system, as the divide between the rich and the poor only gets bigger with nothing in between. Rent, council tax, mortgages, road tax, energy, water bills, all rising, as well as the price of food. And then there's the whole thing of the government deciding how much sugar I can have in my Sprite or in my Pepsi, or telling me what roads I can drive down and at what time, when I'm paying road tax for all of these things. You know what I'm saying? Why is it that in the area that I live in, I have to buy a permit to park outside my house? And a permit that costs over £200 for the year. If I don't have a permit at certain times, why is it that I have to pay £7 an hour to park my car? £7 an hour to park my car. That is mad on the street that I live. Like, fam, it is crazy. But a few miles up the road in leafy, well-to-do Dulwich, you don't have to pay nothing. You can park on any road. If you live in one of these £1 million houses or something like that. Like, it doesn't make sense. Someone's having a laugh, but I don't think it's funny. The Bible speaks of the cost of living in the end times. Revelation chapter 6 verse 6. It says, a loaf of wheat, bread, or 3 loaves of barley will cost a day's wages. And don't waste the olive or the wine. Don't waste the olive or the wine, because these things will be scarce. I mean, a couple of months ago, I remember olive oil was just at this high price. Everything is expensive. Like, my son eats gluten-free bread and that's like £4 for like half a loaf or something like that. It's mad out here. No wonder people are going to food banks, and you know, people are walking into shops and stealing and just walking out. Fam, it's mad. We're not at that stage where it's a day's wages for a few loaves of barley. But it don't seem like we're that far. Yeah, things are definitely looking peak for the poor man. Elsewhere in the UK, stabbing continues to take young lives. A young man called Kieran Charles was murdered on Saturday. He was 17 years old and was stabbed to death in West London, in Shepherd's Bush. Teenagers have been charged with his murder. The suspects have not been named because they are both 16, the Metropolitan Police said. Kieran Charles, 17 years old, from East Acton, died in Shepherd's Bush after police were called at 1:10 p.m. on Saturday afternoon. Broad middle day. You know what I mean? These things are happening, and they're happening, it's like bareface now. You know, there was a young man who got killed in Stockwell. I think he was shot. Again, it was in the middle of the day. These things are getting more and more heinous, more and more bareface, more and more scary for the everyday person in the community, man. You know, I think of my mum walking down the road. I think of, you know, my wife walking down the road, my daughter, and witnessing someone getting stabbed up or someone getting shot. It's tragic. Paramedics tried to save the life of the teenager, but he was pronounced dead at the scene. What's the deeper reason for this crisis, fam? It weren't like this 20 years ago, 40 years ago. It weren't like this. People have always been getting killed from creation, you know, from Cain killing Abel. But it is crazy right now. And it's literally kids killing kids. What's to blame? Obviously, we know that the root cause is sin, but what is encouraging this? What are we doing as society, or what are we not doing? Is it social media? Is it drill music? Is it music? Is it violent computer games? Is it absent fathers? A lot of the people who are dying are young men. What is it? What is the problem? What can we do? Can we do anything? I think it's deeper than building more youth clubs and making more youth facilities, mentoring programs and things like that. I mean, there's loads of these, anti-gang units, mentoring programs across London, across the UK. I know many. I mean, it seems like new ones are popping up every minute as well. Do you know what I mean? It seems like when someone gets killed, there's another kind of like mentor program or charity started to try and combat this problem. Yeah, but is it working? I don't know. Because the problem doesn't seem to be going away. The problem seems to be getting worse. This is a monster that was created or helped by the system. They took the Bible out of schools, breaking up family units. From I was a child, I remember hearing my dad kind of like just being angry with the way the system was dealing with the young people, and I specifically remember a thing where teachers were telling the young girls at school if they got pregnant they would get housing. That has seemed to be a pattern, I don't know, maybe about 50 years ago, obviously before my time, but it was taboo to be having sex without marriage. It was taboo to be pregnant and you wasn't married. Obviously things have got a lot liberated since then. Things have moved on to the stage where young girls are getting flats. The easiest way to get a flat is to get pregnant, and then that young lady who really isn't mentally mature enough to have a child or be in a relationship, and neither is the male involved, and it just gets mad. Do you know what I mean? The house is in the girl's name, the boy goes to live with the girl, their children raising children, they're having arguments, they're having fights, the girl's got the yard, the girl's getting the income support, the gyro, the universal credit, whatever it is these days. You know what I mean? The guy's getting kicked out the yard. It's just this spiral of madness. And so you've got generations now who have grown up and are growing up without fathers, without father figures, without that strong male role model, specifically for the boys, how to be a man. And then you've got girls being raised without a father, and that comes with its own problems as well. I think there's a clear pattern that we can see where fathers are absent, where the household is broken. It comes out in the young person's behavior. You know what I mean? The system helped to create and nurture this monster that is plaguing our streets right now with, youth violence, youth murders, unwanted pregnancies, single mums, confusion, mental health, all of it. A total lack of morality and understanding of what morality is has contributed to this craziness. Them taking prayer out the schools, taking God out of the schools, taking the pattern of scripture out of the household, and even on TV, there's hardly anything with biblical morals on the television in our society. This is supposed to be a Christian country based on Christian values, and it's all going out the window. The rest of the world is laughing at the UK. America, Australia, these countries are laughing at the UK. It's literally a joke. And yeah, like I said, the system that we live in, the Prime Minister, the Mayor, and all the rest of them are helping, knowingly or unknowingly, they're helping to destroy the society as we know it. making evil seem good. The prophet Isaiah said, "Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness, who put bitter for sweet and sweet bitter." It's a problem and we need to address it. In other news, a teenager suddenly becomes violent and his anger towards women fueled by online influencers, while his parents struggle to process what their son is capable of. A 14-year-old boy called Harry, his violence has escalated so rapidly that he has been taken out of his parents' custody and put into care. His parents say until the age of 12, he was a wonderful son. But then they saw a change in his personality, which they believe was sparked by an incident when he was hit by a girl. Soon he developed an online interest in masculine power and control. So you know, you got that Netflix program Adolescence. It's all sort of highlighting a lot of this behavior, I guess. And I actually watched it. I thought it was good, but it highlighted some stuff to me that I wasn't even aware of. Like, for instance, the emojis and different heart colors, the colors of different hearts in emojis actually mean something to young people. I mean, I knew some stuff, but I didn't know. There was some stuff that I didn't know. And it really takes you into the world of a 13, 14-year-old child. It was an eye-opener. But again, you know, I don't want to make excuses because all these things are really rooted in sin. So anyway, this kid, Harry, it seems that he was hit by a girl and his behavior started to change and he started to develop this masculine power and control and sort of have this hatred for women. Even that is mad. What kind of man hates a woman? Do you know what I mean? Even that in itself is evil. You know what I mean? That's satanic. You know what I'm saying? He who finds a wife finds a good thing. You know, your mother's a woman. You know, your sister's a woman. You know, your daughter will grow up to be a woman. You know, how can you hate women? You know, but this is how toxic society has become. One night, Harry punched his mother. His parents called the police in hope that it would shock him out of doing it again. But as time went on, the violence escalated. "We probably must have called the police over 100 times, Harry's dad said. One attack was so serious that the mum ended up in hospital. The violence spilled outside the home as Harry assaulted neighbours and friends. Then, Harry threatened to stab his teacher. It's mad, fam. Like I said, ultimately we know that the root cause of all these things is sin, and the only answer is the gospel, you know. And as society just gets deeper and deeper into, it seems, a bottomless pit that there's no like, it doesn't seem like there's any going back. You know, it seems like we're only going forward and we're only going deeper. The Bible does say in the last days it will be perilous times, and we are living in perilous times. I believe we're living in the last days. What can we do about it? Pray. Not necessarily saying that that's gonna make things better, but it will give us the peace of God in the storm. You know what I mean? We can pray for God's wisdom. We can pray for God's direction in this chaos, you know, because these things have to happen. You know, we are in the last days, and we've been in the last days for centuries. It was the last days when it was the New Testament. Do you know what I mean? Like, now we're in the last hour. You know, Christ can come tomorrow, but Christ can also come in 100 years. But I think if we take into consideration where the world is going, how fast it's going, the advancement of things like AI and brain chips, and if you just look at stuff what like Elon Musk is doing, and the plans of what you know, the elite have, building colonies in space and all kinds of things, I think it's safe to say that we are in the final hour, you know, and things are going to get worse, and we should prepare for them to get worse. And the only answer to this is the gospel, is sharing the gospel with people, because the gospel is the power of God unto salvation. And that's what we got to do, because other than that, it's political, fam.